Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ryan Dohrn, and welcome to this webinar that I wish I didn't have to present. Why do I wish I didn't have to present it? Because gosh, don't I wish that I'd never heard the word COVID-19. How about you? So anyway, don't misunderstand my levity today. I am trying to be light and be bright in the circumstance that we found ourselves in. Thank you so much to Mirabel Technologies, the magazine manager, the newspaper manager, and all of their staff and crew. A lot of you are customers of theirs, and that's why you're here today. Thank you so much, friends. When this idea came up, they were the first group to reach out to me and say, Ryan, do you have a topic that relates to this? And I said, I don't, so let me create it. And then I started getting calls from advertisers that were canceling on me. And I was thinking to myself, what am I going to do to save these folks? Friends, in the onset, you're not going to be able to save everybody. I don't mean from COVID-19. I mean from the financial circumstance related to COVID-19. But thank you so much to Mirabel Technologies for making this happen. Some of you we've not met before. How is that? How have we not met before? My name is Ryan Dohrn. My company is Brainswell Media. I host the iTunes podcast Ad Sales Nation. I started the 360 ad sales training system. This is 28 years of doing nothing but sales and marketing in the media business. I sold cell phones for 2 weeks back in the 90s. Yeah, during the recession of the 90s, we're going to talk about that. Said to my boss, Joe, this cell phone thing is going nowhere. If we can't get these phones out of the car, it's not going anywhere. I'm going back to media sales. And I just stayed in the business of Verizon. I'd probably be the VP of marketing for Verizon, making 500 grand or something. Love the media business. 28 years of selling and marketing in media. I fed my family moderately successfully over that time. I've worked with about 500 magazine and newspaper titles. I've trained about 20,000 salespeople in 7 countries. We're scheduled to go to London here in a couple weeks, and I'll be staying home. My career span has been college, started with advanced publishing. My last post was at the Penwell Company as a group publisher. I actually did publish 7 magazines. I realized being a publisher was a bit of a drag, and so I went back into the sales business. All you publishers are laughing right now. The rest of you don't get the joke. Inside joke, if you've been a publisher or haven't been. I've had an opportunity to touch $500 million in media. I wish I would have got paid commission on all of that. That would have been great. You can find out more about me on the website 360adsales.com. You're not here to hear about me. You're here to hear about when times are good, you should advertise. When times are bad, you must advertise. Who said that? Well, we think it might have been David Ogilvy. I think a lot of people have tried to lay claim to it. So I'm claiming it today. When times are good, you should advertise. When times are bad, you really must advertise. And I'm going to give you historical data today, and we'll give you tons of data on Friday. I'm going to give you a lot of data today, though, as well as we talk through this. Those of you that are just joining us, there's the handouts available under the handouts tab or the little paperclip icons where you can find it. And you're going to get a copy of all this and the link to part number 2 within 2 hours of this webinar being completed. All right, COVID-19 marketing rule number 1, watch your language. Idea number 1, watch your language. What does that mean? What does watch your language mean? Well, friends, we are hearing a lot of very powerful and charged words out there. Words like pandemic, words like epidemic, words like crisis. I'm not here today to make light of the situation that is upon us. It is a grave situation, and I think we want to keep up with it, and we have to sell through it. So I refer to it not to make light of it, but just to create calm. I refer to it as a situation. This situation is real. It's fluid. Downplaying it is just going to make you look foolish. Anybody on the news that's downplaying it, your friends and family that are downplaying it, it just makes you look foolish. Helping our advertisers is the goal. If we can help our advertisers not only survive this situation, but thrive when this situation subsides, we're going to have advertisers for a lifetime. So really, friends, how do we do it? I think we need to watch our language. Make sure that we're not using words that aren't appropriate. We want to make sure that we use words that are calming and calming of nature. Why do I mention this? I mention this because I listen to sales calls all the time. Some of you, you're getting in the gutter with your advertisers. Ryan, it's terrible out there. It's just a bad situation. Yeah, you're right, John. It's terrible out there. Holy cow, wow. So why don't you just add some more fuel to the fire that's already blazing? Friends, professional salespeople understand how to work with their clients. They understand how to calm their clients down during a crisis, and they also know how to creatively guide their clients. But let me be very specific again. Friends, I am not making light of the situation, nor am I saying that we should take advantage of the situation. What I'm saying is that we're going to have to sell through it. So how do we do it and what can we do? Our mantra, our battle cry: when times are good, you should advertise. When times are bad, you must advertise. Idea number two, you got to get your facts straight. Get your facts straight. Friends, we're in the media business. A lot of us get lumped into the mainstream media business, which is a little bit unfair. We're in the media business. And yet so many of us, even in normal conversations, I've heard you give information that's completely and unbelievably wrong. It's not close. Here's what I would encourage you to consider doing. You don't need to be a doctor. You don't need to be out there preaching about COVID-19. But what you do need to do is be aware. Like, for example, have you ever taken the time as a person in the media business to go to the CDC website and actually go and listen to the March 9 transcript, listen to the doctors talk about this? Oh, Ryan, you know the CDC is a mouth puppet of the government. Okay, friends, these are independent doctors. They do work for the CDC, and I've listened to them over and over again. They're not going to say what any politician wants them to say. Every piece of data they're giving is backed up by models, backed up by research. Let's not debate it. Let's just not debate it. Stop your chats from coming. It's not worth debating it. What I'm trying to say to you is, if you follow the information that you find on Facebook, you're going to have to be really careful about that. This is 2 days ago, circulating on Facebook. This man was the only passenger on a Boeing 737 to Italy. Okay, so this has nothing to do with COVID-19, nor does it have anything to do with the story on the right side of the screen. This story happened April 9th of 2019. And this is what's circulating on Facebook. Friends, being a member of the media business requires us to be factually accurate. Pay attention. That's all I'm saying. Pay attention. Don't debate people, but pay attention so that when you are engaged in a conversation about the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, you know somewhat what it is that you're talking about. Number three, we really got to dig deep and understand consumer habits. Jot it down. It's important. Understanding consumer habits. Why is it important for us to understand consumer habits? So that we can actually give advice to our advertisers. Friends, I sell event sponsorships, local media, national media, webinars, broadcast. I sell about everything that's out there to be sold other than the back of a napkin. And I will sell that too. Heck, I will sell the highest bidder. I will put your logo on my back. I'll sell anything. I love sales. But I understand consumer habits. Something that's important to recognize, friends. Consumers are restless. They're looking to make changes in their buying decisions. They're restless. They're looking to make changes. Advertisers are our consumers. They're restless. They're looking to make changes. We're going to talk about it in a minute. Friends, it's important to recognize we have to guide our advertisers. We have to guide our agency media buyers. Guide our agency media buyers to understand consumers are restless. They're looking to make changes in their buying decisions. If we can help them understand those changes, we can then guide them to better marketing decisions. Mrs. or Mr. Advertiser, my goal is not only to help you survive this situation, but we hope our partnership together, we want to help you thrive when this situation subsides. Now, some of you have asked questions like, well, what if this doesn't go away for a year? Friends, every medical model, if you want to take China as an example, despite bad data, more than likely, we're going to see this subside way faster, not go away, subside way faster than the Great Recession of 2006, 7, and 8, way faster than the recession of the 90s and the 80s. It's not going to take years. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. It's not really that fun for this conversation today, and you can't talk, so that makes it easier for me. But it's important for you to recognize more than likely it's going to subside much quicker than other recessions that have occurred, or other financial crises that have occurred. Well, Ryan, this is a health crisis. It's so different. Well, it is different, but it's got a similar flavor to it. Businesses, marketers, ad agencies are making decisions that are financial because of the health crisis. I mean, come on, guys. You guys are all, keen to what's happening in the market. The market was so high we were destined for a recession. It wouldn't have mattered if President Obama or President Trump is in office. That doesn't necessarily matter. When the market goes that good, it's going to have to come back down. It's just forcing our hand. Now, some of you were prepared. Some of you caught a little flat-footed. Let's not be flat-footed. We want to help our advertisers survive, and we want to help our advertisers thrive when this situation potentially subsides. All right, some questions to ask. And we're going to dig really, really deep on all the questions on Friday. We only have about 45 minutes today. I like to ask things like, who was your customer? Okay, so you say you don't have, who were they? Be specific. Detail out who those customers were. Then we want to match our media options to the customers that they want that we potentially have access to. If they'd canceled an event, well, let's move them to a virtual webinar. If they've canceled an event sponsorship, let's move them over to a sponsored content program or whatever the circumstance is. Who do you want to be your customer? Maybe the current customer is gone. So who do you want to be your customer? If you could have the perfect, I love this question. If you could have the perfect customer, who would that customer be? Because see now, but consumers are changing their habits. What I'm observing is that people are online more than ever before. If you've got a client with a shopping cart, now is the time for them to be pushing a lot of traffic to their e-commerce engines. This is a great time for those advertisers that just love social media, everything about social media. Great time for us to say, hey, let's put together an email campaign and let's start communicating and boosting your social media presence. Somebody chatted across, my clients are poor, they don't have shopping carts. Hey, you got a PayPal account? PayPal's free. The shopping cart within PayPal is free. I mean, most people can set it up. My mom set it up. Love you, Mom. My mom set it up. If my mom can set it up, you can set it up, I promise. Maybe ask this question. How has COVID-19 changed your customer? How has it changed your customer? How has it changed how you interact with your customer? Friends, the data we have now, gosh, I hope you have data. The data we have now is so important because it's our opportunity to match that data with who our clients, our advertisers are looking to reach, because the things, they're just changing, things are changing. We have the ability to be a connector, to connect people. Maybe you could ask, how has COVID-19 changed the advertiser's ability to work with or buy from you, to buy from their customer? How have things changed? Get into it and get creative. This is a great time to be brainstorming. We're going to get into it in a second, but what about the people that just want to cancel? Well, you've got legit people and you've got lethargic people. But as a sales organization, you need to sit down and say, what are the questions we want to ask? How are we going to help our customers redefine who their audience is, redefine how they're going to reach that audience? I think it's a conversation we want to have with agency media buyers that have gotten something handed down to them. Cancel everything. I think my response would be something we're going to talk about a little bit more later is, hey, we've got 135 customers, 135 advertisers. I've received only 2 or 3 calls from people like you making these changes. Are you sure? In some cases, they're just doing what they're told. That, friends, is why client direct is so important. Oh, Ryan, I can't go client direct. The agency says that they'll cancel and they'll get mad at me. You know what? Agencies come and go. Clients are forever. I say that all the time. I say that to agencies. I'm pretty bold, though. I'm pretty bold. So if I know that agencies have changed dramatically over the course of time, I'll just say, hey, man, you're like the 6th agency in 4 years. So I'm going to respect you, but I'm going client direct. I'll keep the pricing between us. Don't be afraid to guide the conversation. Now, someone asked, now, what if an advertiser won't respond to me? Probably the reason is because we haven't been clever. We haven't been creative. We haven't been asking the right questions, and we haven't been offering some substantial help to them. I think that's important. How about this, though? Help them focus on their existing customers. Every advertiser out there is looking for new customers. Oh, I got to get new customers. Well, what about the existing customers? Look at the stat from Invesco Pro. The probability of selling to an existing customer is 60 to 70%. The probability of selling to a new prospect is like somewhere between 5 and 20%. I'm going to guess it's closer to 5. So whether you're B2B, you're local, you're consumer, you're digital only, you're broadcast, we've got TV people on the call today, radio people on the call today. A lot of it is about refocusing to your current customer base. New customers, whether they're a germaphobe or not, or just trying to stay healthy, are probably not going to engage with people they don't know. I'm not inviting strangers over to my house. Well, I guess I did actually. I have a roofing project that was in the works, and there's strangers that are coming and working on the roof. You want to know what the sales rep told me from Southern Roofing Company? We're getting more calls now than ever before. I said, really? He said, yeah, everybody's home. I said, so what are you doing? What are you doing to stay safe? And he's like, just, washing my hands and being careful, not giving as many hugs. The probability of selling to existing customers, 60 to 70%. So perhaps it's creative that we can twist and turn to get to that point. Perhaps it's running campaigns about loyalty, how much you care for Mr. or Mrs. Advertiser, running ads about loyalty, how much you appreciate your customers. Maybe rather than new customer acquisition right now, Mr. or Mrs. Advertiser, we're actually going to move that over to a retention campaign, to a loyalty campaign. Now, friends, I see some of your questions coming across. I get it. Every circumstance is unique. My circumstance is unique. You're selling B2B for a pumps magazine. Your circumstance is unique compared to New Jersey Monthly that's selling regional media compared to Philly Magazine that's selling local media. And I get it. I understand. What I'm trying to present to you today, though, is information about getting creative, understanding that you can control these narratives, understanding that as you talk with advertisers, you can help them go from good to great. We're in survival mode. I get it. But let's not just focus on survival. Let's focus on thriving once this situation subsides. Recognizing, friends, idea number 4 for you. You've got to separate the legit concerns from those lethargic advertisers. So jot that down. Separating legit from lethargic. It's super important. There's 2 sides to this situation. By the way, it's funny how many of you don't like me calling it a situation. That's kind of funny. I'm going to call it a situation for the next 40 minutes, so you might want to hang on to your shorts. Legit advertiser concerns, okay? Legit advertiser concerns are legit. Those are people that are legitimately canceling because an audience that they've been trying to reach has changed or something along those lines. Number 2, though, you've got those that are looking for any excuse to cancel. They're just looking for an excuse. And there's people out there like that. They're just looking for any excuse to cancel. So how do you separate legit concerns from those that are just being lethargic? Well, critical question number 1, I've got 10 of them. My first critical question is this. What is your strategy for being in business at the same time 6 months from now? Now, you might not say it this way. And by the way, people are saying slow down. I'll leave it up on the screen as long as I can. What is your strategy for being in business at the same time 6 months from now? Or tell me about your plans. What are your plans for the next 6 months? I mean, you could say flat out, do you plan to be in business 6 months from now? Well, yeah. Or let's talk about your strategy so you can not only survive, but we want to help you thrive. Because there are other people that are changing their strategies. Sometimes their strategy is just pull out completely. We're going to talk about the NASCAR effect of that here in a couple minutes. I like this question. You can rewrite it 1,000 different ways. Make it your own. Make it your own voice. This webinar is free today. Steal the information. Don't sell it, but steal the information and make it your own. About this question, what plans can I help you put in place to help your business thrive after COVID-19? Or however you want to say it. What plans can what plans can our company help you put in place to help your business not only survive this current situation, but thrive after this? Now, someone chatted, that's great. What if they say, I have no idea? Then get creative. Friends in sales, the most successful salespeople typically have 2 or 3 things that they do. Number 1, almost all of them use a CRM. Almost all of them use a CRM. Number 2, they pick up the phone and have great conversations. Number 3, they're wickedly creative. I mean, one of the best salespeople I've ever worked with is a woman named Mary. And I'll call her out, Mary Watts. She's great. Maybe she's on the line today. She's great. She's just wickedly creative. One of the best salespeople, another sales professional I worked with, her name is Katie Yard. Just wickedly creative. They're just creative people. Use a CRM. They pick up the darn phone and have great conversations. And then guess what they do? They're wickedly creative. They come up with really creative ideas for people. How do you get creative? Well, kind of you're born with it, but read, pay attention, watch webinars. I mean, guys, this is not going to be easy for us. But if you get organized with your CRM, if you pick up the phone and have conversations with folks, and if you get real creative, You can help them through this. Shifting of audiences, shifting of share of voice is so important as we talk through these ideas. Now, I don't have time today to give you all 10 questions. It'd be really fast. We're going to move that to our fundraiser on Friday, part 2. I'm going to give you all 10 of those critical questions. That'll happen Friday at noon. After this webinar that Magazine Manager is putting on, you'll get a link to that. So help me raise some money, and we'll give you even more of those. But we're not done. We're not done. But wait, there's more. Marketing rule number 5, objection handling. You can handle most objections, and you should handle most objections with a process, not with your wits. See, a lot of you have been selling as long as me, and some of you, I see you, I'm not going to call you out, you've been selling longer than me. Been in the media business 28 years, and I have relied on rolling with the punches. Some people call it flying by the seat of your pants. I've handled objections with my wits. Well, I'll be honest, sometimes my wits will backfire. It's already happened a couple times today, I'm sure. Trying to have some fun with you amidst this situation. Handling objections with a process and not your wits is important, especially when you're talking about a touchy subject. So here's my process. I'm going to give you the process, and then I'm going to give you an example. Number 1, everything I do is in 3 steps. Love the rule of 3. Some of you know that. Number 1, I'm going to emphasize without debate or emotion. Now, being factually accurate, friends, that's important. You need to have your facts straight. Pay attention. You're in the media business. You're supposed to be informed. You want to empathize with them, but don't debate with people. And then don't get emotional with people. As they'd call it here in the South, don't waller. Don't get down in the gutter. Don't waller with those people. It doesn't help. Sometimes people do that. Salespeople do that because you feel like you're connecting with that person. If I waller with them, if I get down in the gutter with them, then I'm connecting with them. No, what you're doing is you're taking a bad situation, you're making it even worse. Empathize without debating and getting emotional. Number 2, present historical marketing facts, which I'm going to give you next. The things I'm going to share with you next are things that companies would bring me in and spend $3,500 to get this data. You're getting it today for free because of the magazine manager and the newspaper manager. I'm going to give it to you in a second. Thank you to those guys, by the way. Number 3, you need to present ideas to the advertiser. Friends, you got to get together. You got to brainstorm. You're going to get in a call with a big client. You know who they are, the people that are likely to cancel or change. Get together and get creative. Don't give up. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with fighting the good fight. There's nothing wrong with coming up with good ideas. Somebody the other day said to me, I guess it was Monday, well, no, Ryan, I'm not going to cold call anymore. It just seems unsympathetic at this time. I said, well, let me ask you a question. Sure. You planning to be in sales in 6 months? Well, yeah. But you're not going to make any sales calls for the next 6 months? Well, I think it's just tasteless. Well, I think it could be tasteless if you handle it incorrectly. Don't handle it incorrectly. Look at yourself as being someone that's helpful. Look at some as a way to be creative. And once I give you this data, I think you're going to go, man, I didn't know it. I didn't know. Historically, people that maintain, people that stay the course find that it's more cost effective. And at the end of a crisis, they come out on top. Emphasize without debating, present historical marketing, present your ideas to the advertiser. Here's how it would look if it was written out kind of in a word track for you. Okay, here we go. Number 1, emphasize without debate or emotion. Jill calls me. Jill says, Ryan, I'm canceling. Sounded pretty Southern. Ryan, I'm canceling. Jill, I understand your concerns. Our goal, so I'm not even acknowledging, yes, you should cancel. Jill, I understand your concerns. I'm empathizing. Our goal is to not only help you survive this situation, but we hope our partnership with you will help you thrive when this situation subsides. Step number 2, present historical marketing data. Jill, during past similar situations, we've observed that, I should say that in almost every case, it's always more cost effective to stay the course than shut off the marketing faucet, which we'll get to in a minute. Shut off the marketing faucet and try to catch up later. That's the NASCAR effect. We're going to talk about it in a second. 3rd step, present your ideas. Jill, I've got some ideas for changing your ad copy that could really drive traffic to your online shopping cart. Jill, I've got some ideas for you that we could shift your sponsorship dollars from that event. Let's shift them over to a sponsored content program. And let's target those people that were planning to come to that event. Maybe it's your event. and you already had, say, 250 attendees signed up for that event or whatever. We know who's going to be there. So how about this? Let's create a marketing program. Maybe we can use video, etc., to get your information you wanted to present at that trade show. Let's present it in a different way, through sponsored content, through a video-based program, through doing a lookalike audience on our social media. There's so many ways to shift these people and move them. Here's the thing, friends. If you actually think that your advertiser is going to think of these ideas on their own, they're not, because they're shutting down. Their brain is shutting down. They're saying, oh my gosh, sky is falling. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And when that happens, your brain gets so tight and small, you get a headache. You get a headache. First of all, drink more water. Secondly, you've got to help them. You got to come up with creative ideas. Think like Mary, think like Katie, get creative. A lot of you are creative, some of you aren't, so you need to brainstorm with other people. The important takeaway on this, though, friends, and I want all of you to follow me on this, is handle objections with a process, not your wits, because your wits is typically not going to guide you correctly. Empathize, then give some historical data, then present your ideas to the advertiser. Or how about some historical data? Well, data for us could also be, we've got 75 advertisers, only 2 have made dramatic changes. Give them comfort as it relates to it. Let me take a drink of coffee real quick. Thank you, magazine manager, marketing manager, newspaper manager. Thanks, Mark and Andy, everybody. Appreciate you. Stephanie, Rachel, everybody behind the scenes. I'm going to forget somebody. Dennis, Mark, Susan, Jacob. I've missed somebody. Rule number 6, history is a great teacher. Really great teacher. That's why I'm one of those people that I'm against, removing monuments, even if they represent something that in history that we don't like, that I don't agree with. History is a great teacher. How do you learn from history when it's not there? Well, we've got some good data. You ready? I think everybody's logged in now. 1,800 people signed up and 1,516 are here live. Pretty cool. Thanks for being here. How many people were selling during the Great Depression? I only know 2 people that are on here that might even be close to being old enough. 1922, 25 to 35, something like that. Post-dry cereal went into the Great Depression, friends, as the dry cereal market leader. When the Great Depression hit, they didn't have all of these brands then, but when the Great Depression hit, Post Cereal Company pulled back their advertising almost 100%. There was another group, another company out there that saw what was going on and realized, wow, this could be an opportunity for us to gain market share. So they doubled down on their marketing efforts. They doubled down on it. Do you know the name of the company? Anybody? Kellogg's. Kellogg's emerged from the Great Depression as the market leader in the dry cereal business. Now Kellogg's has gone from the first place to second, third, back and forth of General Mills, etc., over the course of time. But Kellogg's saw an opportunity in a financial shift, and they dug deep and they doubled down on their marketing, and they emerged as a market leader. Now don't say for a second, well, Ryan, I'm not working with Kellogg's. Okay, neither am I. I do work with companies like John Deere and people like that, but still I'm fighting for crumbs, just like a lot of you are. What's the lesson to be learned? You see a financial crisis in front of you, do you pull out or do you double down? We've got more data for you that proves that doubling down works. All right, that was the Great Depression. Ryan, that was back in the 20s. Doesn't apply to today. Okay, Mr. Cynic, here we go. How about the 80s? Anybody remember the 80s? I remember the 80s, but I'm a child of the 80s. Def Leppard, Survivor. All right. The recession started, ran between 80 and 90, 85, 86. This chart indicates on the left the profit of these various companies. McGraw-Hill Research analyzed 600 companies, covering 16 different industries from 1980 through 1985. You can see the black bar on the left. So the years of the recession of the 80s is there at the bottom. And then the profits on the left. The recession started there in year 3. The black bar represents companies that did not cut their marketing budgets in years 3 and 4. So the recession started between years 2 and 3. The black bar represents companies that did not cut their marketing budget. Did they double down? I don't know, but they didn't cut. That's for sure. And look what happened through the recession and beyond the recession in year 6. So the recession was 80 to 85. The last block of information probably represents 86, probably. All right, so the black bar represents those that didn't cut their budget, and look what happens. They not only survived, but they thrived in the circumstance. All right, how about the next bar, the red bar? The red bar represents companies that cut in both years 3 and 4. So it's not that they didn't see any growth, but what is that growth like? 10%, 5%? Definitely not the growth that the black bar companies saw. Next bar, purple bar. These represent companies that cut in year 2, right before the recession got bad. They cut in year 2. So they were like, ooh, I'm getting ahead of this one. Let's pull our marketing dollars. But they didn't pull their marketing dollars in year 3, but they cut substantially in year 2. Look what happened in years 4, 5, and 6. Almost no growth. As a matter of fact, in year 6, they dropped backwards. Interesting. How about the orange bar? This represents companies in year 3 that cut in year 3, but not in year 2. So in year 3, they cut, and in year 4, they drop their profit drops. Well, what is that? They go from 170 something to just a little bit over 100, if it represents millions or whatever the circumstance is there. What do we learn from the recession of the 80s to 85? Those that stay the course almost always find it to be more cost effective. Those that double down almost always come out on the other end of a crisis, either bigger, badder, or better, in almost all cases. All right, we're to the 90s, friends. It's funny, yesterday, somebody was like, I said, what were you doing in 1990? And the kid was like, I was just learning to ride my bike. Welcome to the fun. Wait a minute, McDonald's? McDonald's needs to advertise? No, they don't. How many times have I heard that? How many times have you said that? Salespeople out there, how many times have you said that? McDonald's doesn't need to advertise. Well, guess what, friends? According to this data, they do. By the way, almost every piece of data is sourced, in case some of you are thinking I make this up. I do make up a lot, though. I'm in sales. I have a tendency, like Mark Twain, to exaggerate a bit. In the 90s, during that recession, McDonald's decided to drop their advertising budget dramatically. Look what happened to their sales. Total spending on the top, and then their sales at the bottom. Their sales dropped 28% during the recession of the 90s. Pizza Hut and Taco Bell, what they decided to do was they were going to spend more on marketing. I don't have the exact amount they spent, but all research indicates that they doubled down. Their sales grew as a result. Pizza Hut up 61%. Taco Bell up 40%. It's the 90s. So for me, I think it's pretty interesting. Were you aware that during the last recession of 2006, 7, 8, Amazon grew 28%? 28%. So just think about that. Those that have great business models and market like mad are those that typically not only survive, but they thrive. Someone just asked this question. There's a lot of questions, friends, and I won't be able to get to all of them, but I'm trying to weave them in as they're popping up here on my screen, so I appreciate your interaction. It's important, really, friends, to recognize that as we walk through this, what are we going to say? I think these are great examples. How you say it is up to you, but a story is almost always remembered more than a fact or a stat. Some experts tell us it's 70% more, 70% more. So I think that's important, friends, to really be paying attention to. I like this. I think you should print it out. You're going to receive out. You're going to print it out, get a copy of this. I'll send it to you here in the next 2 hours. A Dropbox, you can take this exact slide and use it. Everything's sourced. How about 2008? Okay, Ryan, now we're getting closer to 2020. Now I'm paying attention. You familiar with Domino's Pizza? Who's not? Domino's in 2008 was fighting for dominance. They weren't winning. Pizza Hut was way so far out in front. Papa John's fighting for dominance during the Great Recession. How many people were selling during the Great Recession? I'm going to bet a lot of you. Lots of us were selling during the Great Recession. There's some argument. Was it 06, 07, 08, 09? Okay. 2008, Domino's did something crazy. Crazy. They decided to launch a new pizza recipe and market it like crazy during the Great Recession. Really? I remember a friend of mine said, I'm going to start an event during the Great Recession. I was like, really? Yeah, it turned out pretty darn good. They doubled down in marketing. They launched a new pizza recipe. At nearly the same time, new Coke was coming out. We know how new Coke went. People were saying, Domino's, don't you remember what happened with new Coke? Don't change your recipe. They looked at the circumstance. They looked at the situation, and they're like, you know what? We got nothing to lose at this point. This is a great time for us. Let's do a new recipe. Let's raise our marketing budget. And guess what happened? Their market share and their profits followed. They grew their profits and they grew their market share. Super important. I think it's so interesting. Guess what else happened at the end of 2008? You remember the video that came out? The two clowns in the Domino's kitchen doing really raw, raunchy, gross things in the kitchen. Anybody remember that? Don't Google it. Totally gross. Don't Google it. Now you're going to Google it, I'm sure. Don't Google it. They said, man, we got a crisis on our hands. Again, we're dealing with a financial crisis. We're dealing with a marketing, crisis of perception. Let's double down again. They doubled down again on marketing, and their market share grew again. Because everybody knows Domino's can't control everything in the kitchen. They know that. So, friends, I think that you got to ask yourself, what's the lesson to be learned here? What lesson are we learning from this circumstance? We're going to have more data on this on our webinar on Friday, because we're actually now starting to run out of time. But we're going to have more data, like historical data, on Friday at noon. But what's the lesson to be learned? For me, I believe the lesson for me is, in a time of crisis, it is almost always more cost effective to stay the course than it is to pull out and try to catch up because of the NASCAR effect, which I'm going to show you here in a second. I think another thing to learn is not to have a knee-jerk reaction to a crisis or a situation. Now, from a health perspective, I think we're responding differently than from a financial perspective. But friends, we were destined for a recession anyway, because that's how the market works. So other lessons to be learned. Hey, so we've been forced into this situation. So let's get creative. Let's get in front of our advertisers on GoToMeeting like this, Zoom, FaceTime, Skype, whatever the circumstance is. And by the way, on Friday, one of the things we're going to cover is I'm going to show you how I set up my office. You don't have to have a microphone like this, doesn't matter. Just a prop more than anything. But how to set up your office so that your webcam is not looking up your nose, things like that. A lot of you are dialed in, you're working remote from home, and you're going to struggle with it. So we're going to talk about time management on Friday. But your lessons to be learned from this are typically, historically, those that double down or at least stay the course are those that not only survive, they thrive. I think it's important. Idea number 7 for you. Don't cut ad budgets just to cut. But that's what people are doing. Ryan, that's what people are doing. Don't cut ad budgets just to cut. I think one of the things we've done wrong is we have not preached that marketing is a muscle. Marketing is a muscle, it's not fat. Marketing is foundational. Marketing is at the core of everything that we do. Hey friends, how many good ideas have you heard of that failed, and you know that they failed because of poor marketing? A lot of ideas. Most of these startups, these new launches, a lot of them, they fail because marketing isn't in order. A great idea is only a great idea. Without marketing, it doesn't really go anywhere. Well, there might be an influencer out there that takes it to the next level. Hey friends, go to emarketer.com and follow influencer marketing. It is one of the most untrusted and unreliable sources of marketing available today. And guess what? Everybody, all age groups will tell you that. Marketing's a muscle, it's not fat. It's not something that should necessarily be cut. I know the reason that it's happening. And this is going to answer some of the questions that came through. A lot of advertisers, agencies, clients, they look at marketing as a water hydrant, or as a water spigot, or as a faucet. They think they can turn it on, and when they need customers, they can turn it off. Friends, you've got to carry this story to your advertisers. Unless the product or service that's being sold is a direct response type product, okay? You can't turn advertising on and off and get that kind of impact like water coming out of a faucet. You can't just turn the ads on unless you're going to offer a significant discount, you're going to offer things for free, or you're going to have a product or service that is priced at less than $75. 2 payments of $19.99. But wait, there's more, watch out. But yet most advertisers, most clients, most agency media buyers see marketing as a spigot, a water hydrant, a faucet that they can just turn on and off. In almost all cases, that is not accurate. Just not the case. What's most accurate is the NASCAR effect. The NASCAR effect is you see the guy or gal that's out front here driving this car. The moment, they're leading the race right now, but the moment that they pit that car, The moment that that car hits the pits is the moment that they go a lap down. I mean, unless every other car pits at the same time. That's the gamble in NASCAR. Do we ride these tires a little bit longer, or do we pit and try to get back out in front? You're betting. You're betting at a certain point in time, they're going to have to pit. NASCAR strategists would tell you that we know exactly how many laps that we can put on that tire. I hope we're right. Because if they don't pit soon enough, they're going to have a blown tire, and that's going to do damage and take longer to repair. The great Dale Earnhardt, undoubtedly one of the best racers in NASCAR history. Don't argue with me about that. But I like Tom Petty. Okay, that's fine. I like him too. The moment that you pit is the moment that you put yourself at risk. The moment you hit the pits, the moment you shut off that faucet is the moment that you put yourself at risk. Because guess what? There's going to be some joker that's going to stay out on the track. There's going to be somebody out there that's going to say, you know what? I'm not pitting. I'm staying out. Now, granted, one lap later, they might blow a tire, blow their car up, or do damage. But here's the thing I really want folks to follow. It's far cheaper to protect your turf than to play catch up. Once you get 3 to 5 laps down, you lost the race. Unless other people in front of you crash. How'd you like to be in that situation where you're like, okay, so I'm 3 laps down. I hope people in front of me crash. We're not hoping for that. We're not hoping for our fellow business owners to go out of business. Probably. I'm sure some people are. The NASCAR effect is real. It is incumbent upon us as salespeople to explain that marketing is not a water spigot. It's not a water hydrant. It's not a faucet. You don't turn it on and off. It's not how it works. Unless you're hoping for a crash of somebody in front of you. I don't think most advertisers are actually that strategic. Somebody chatted across this question. Ryan, I appreciate what you're sharing. Thank you. I don't really feel like this applies to ad agencies. They don't listen. I agree with you and I disagree with you. I agree with you that it's hard for them to listen because they're just really busy. And a lot of times they're doing what's being dictated to the client. That's why client direct relationships are so important. With that being said, though, I work with a lot of agency media buyers, a lot. Thus, I take pills. I work with a lot of agency media buyers. And I do find that they are open to conversations that are logical. So if I can say to them, hey, I respect what you're saying. I would love for you to share with your client that we've got 9 advertisers like you. And out of the 9, only 1 other than you is asking to make a change. I say this a lot, and I'd love for you to steal it. I have a concern. May I share my concern with you? To the person that asked the question, how do we get a client to respond? How about this? Subject line, I have a concern. Body of the email, hi, John, I have a concern. May I stop by and share this concern with you? Hi, John, I have a concern. It will only take about 2 minutes to explain. Could we get on a phone call tomorrow morning for 2 minutes? I've got a concern. The word concern will raise red flags with almost everybody. Now, make sure, friends, you actually have a legitimate concern. But a concern can go a couple of different ways. A concern could be, hey, I have a concern. You're pulling back and everybody else isn't. I'm concerned for you. That shows loyalty to that person. How about this? I've got a concern. I'm seeing all your competition drop their ad dollars. And I don't want you to follow because now is a chance. Carpe diem, baby. Now's the day. Now's a chance for you to double down. Let's do what Kellogg's did. Let's do what Domino's did. Let's do what Pizza Hut and Taco Bell did. Let's carpe diem. Let's seize the day. Because there's 3 different types of advertisers. There are those that are carpe diem type people. Now, I'm not suggesting for an instant that I'm suggesting you try to take advantage, in air quotes, take advantage of a bad situation. This is a bad situation. I get it. What I'm encouraging you to do is be strategic. Be strategic for your advertiser's sake. Don't let that NASCAR effect come into play. It's vividly, vividly important. Idea number 8 for you. Great questions coming through. I'm answering a lot of them. I'm trying. 280 questions. We'll get through them, I promise. Provide revenue resources to your advertisers. Idea number 8. Their revenue is your revenue too. In a lot of cases, provide revenue resources to your advertisers. Now, a lot of you on the call today, you are magazine manager or newspaper manager customers. So I've got a tip for you from Mirabel Technologies. Many publishers and many non-publishers are going to increase their dependence on email as they don't have the ability to do face-to-face meetings. Your advertisers are going to encounter this. Were you aware that Mirabel Technologies is about to launch a product called email marketing manager, rather. It's an email marketing automation platform, and it's allowing their customers to use this service for email. They're going to let you use this service for email free for 6 months. Now, normally, the only people that get access to these kind of tools would be consultants like me. But for the customers out there of the magazine manager and the newspaper manager, you can get access to the marketing manager 6 months for free. They're looking for beta testers. So immediately reach out to your consultant or to your rep for that. How does it work? What you're able to then show to your advertisers is when one of their customers comes to their website, they can track it. You can tie in, just like you would on a lot of other bigger platforms out there, you can tie in people clicking on an e-newsletter back to where they went on the website to increase conversions. The amount of data is phenomenal. And quite honestly, it's pennies on the dollar compared to some of the bigger platforms that are out there. There's all kinds of revenue tools available to you that you can help and you can launch with your customers. Here's some others besides the marketing manager. You can outsource through companies like Second Street to do promotions, Site Impact to resell email addresses. Site Impact has got millions of email addresses. Say you need to know everybody whose lease is going to be up in Des Moines, Iowa. They've got the email addresses of all those people. In the B2B business, my clients are taking this information from Brandon and Site Impact and dissecting it 1,000 different ways. You can outsource so much for your customers to OpenLook out of Texas. You can outsource programmatic and make $5 1,000 from January spring. You can do automated impact reports with companies like NinjaCat. Friends, go back and look in the archives. I do 60 revenue ideas all the time. These are just some ideas for you. Marketing manager is one of them. Reach out and find out more about it. Idea number 9, you got to learn to sell to 3 types of crisis-based advertisers. Okay, you've got to learn to sell to 3 types of crisis-based advertisers. And for those of you that need to go here, we're going to be wrapping up in just a couple seconds. There's 3 types out there. Slam on the brakes type advertisers. There's wait and see type advertisers. And then there's carpe diem type advertisers. You've got to address all 3 of those in different ways. Let's talk about slam on the brake advertisers. Slam on the brake advertisers are all emotion all the time because folks with logic aren't going to cancel their ads. So how do you deal with an emotional person? We'll come back to it. Second group, wait and see. These people are typically more logical, but if they were logical fully, they would stay with you. So they're not logical fully, they've got some emotion in play. We'll come back to that. Then you got carpe diem type folks, those carpe diem folks. Those carpe diem folks are the seize the day kind of people. Those are people that look at this crisis as a situation, as an opportunity. And again, I want to be careful about that. That can be very touchy, so be careful. All right, slam on the brakes type people. How do you deal with them? For me, dealing with emotional people is sort of like dealing with somebody that's had too much to drink. It's almost impossible to have a logical conversation with somebody that's had too much to drink. We've all been around them, or we've been one of them. I don't know. So trying to sell to somebody that's emotional in a logical way doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So you really got to be careful about that. Instead, you take the facts, the stats, the information that I've provided today, and what you do is you wrap it into a story. Most emotional people respond well to stories. Or how about the wait and see people? The wait and see people, you can usually have a logical conversation with them. Let's look at ways to dissect your customer base that you want. Let's look at our data and let's figure out a way to create an audience that will make sense. I know we canceled this event, but maybe we can move you over here. Let's figure out how to do that. Canceled events or sponsorships to me are opportunities. Opportunities for webinars, opportunities for video, etc. So those people, you can usually create a logical conversation. The wait and see people and the slam on your brakes people, both of those folks will respond well. If you've got 100 advertisers in the running in your magazine, on your TV station, whatever, and only 2 or 3 are making changes, I think I would say I have a concern. May I share my concern with you? So everybody in the category, without giving away anything proprietary, you're the only one that's pulling back right now. So my concern is by doing that, you're going to lose market share. They're going to take advantage of the fact that you're pulling out, etc. Carpe diem folks. be careful not to get too excited because you might come across as being arrogant or insensitive. Carpe diem kind of folks, friends, it's important as we think about these people to make sure that we're giving them what they want, we're guiding them correctly, but don't seem overly confident. When you're thinking about these three type of people, I mean, you've really got to dig deep on it. And unfortunately today, as we talk about this, unfortunately, we just don't have a lot of time to dig deep on how to handle each of these advertisers because we're just going to run out of time, but to be continued on this Friday at noon. All right, so let me tell you what's going to come after this webinar. Don't hang up quite yet because there's a few directions that you're going to want to follow because we've got a lot more information to share with you. All right, after this webinar is completed, here is what you're going to get. Within the next 2 hours, you're going to receive a Dropbox link to download a copy of all that I presented today. Now, if you join us on Friday, you'll get a copy of everything today and everything that we're going to share on Friday. The information some of it will be the same, but a lot of it will be different. So we're going to talk in detail on Friday of how to speak to 3 different groups of advertisers. We're going to give you exact local and B2B business scenarios to help get your creative juices running. I'm going to give you all 10 of those critical questions. Important, number 4, we're going to talk in detail about how to set up your home office for video. Friends, you're going to have to get good at selling via video. You just are. For example, why are you waiting? Get a Zoom account. You can do 45 minutes for free. We're going to talk about time management strategies for those of you that are working at home. How do you stay focused? Like behind me, see the gray wall? Yeah, that covers a window because if a squirrel goes by, I'm like, squirrel, I'm highly distracted. We're going to give you some exact email subject lines. Like I gave you today, I have a concern. May I share my concern with you? More historical data, email templates, and of course, like we're going to do right now, we're going to do a lot of live, live Q&A. All right, so how do you get to the webinar on Friday? In the email where you're going to see these slides is going to be a link to sign up. I want you to help me raise money for the Golden Harvest Food Bank. All we're going to take out of that money is going to be our research time and how much it costs to upgrade this license to accommodate all 1,800 of you today. That's it. The rest of that money is going to the Golden Harvest Food Banks. If you want your money to go elsewhere, that's fine. You'll get that link, or you can go over to 360adsales.com to find that link to that. All right, in the remaining time that we have up until right about the top of the hour, we're going to go through some of your questions and answer some of them. But there's still well over 200 some odd questions, so we really don't have any way to be able to get through all of them today. All right, question here, Mark. Good question. How do you handle discussions with advertisers that are in non-cancelable agreements? Ooh, you're going to like to hear this, Mark. Stick around, friends. Some good questions here. A lot of good ones. So I was working with a group this morning that shall remain nameless. I love them. And here's what they do. They say no. So 8 out of 10 customers that asked to cancel that were in the midst of a contract, their boss just said, simply say, no, we have a contract in place. And guess what happened? 8 out of 10 said, oh, okay, I was just checking. So in a lot of cases, there are those lethargic advertisers that are just looking for any reason to cancel. And that's pretty important. I think the first is, hey, we have a contract in place for a reason. I think you want to add something onto that, though. We have a contract in place for a reason. We recognize that there is some trying times right now, and we're putting some strategies in place to help you. And you can do things along the lines of coming up with all kinds of different bonus plans. I have another client this morning that had a great idea. They looked at the spending that companies did over the last several months. And they said, hey, Bob, last year you spent $50,000 with us. We would like to give you a 10% credit towards your future advertising with us. We thank you for your loyalty. And because of these trying times, we'd like to give you a credit towards future advertising. And I think that that's, pretty important. All right, we got a customer that said, hey, most of my clients are hotels, travel destinations, and things like that. I've got a great answer for you. Because a lot of us that were planning to go out of the country for holidays or vacations are not probably going to do that, I think the redefining of the audience around local, meaning one-tank trips, people that are doing staycations, I think it's a matter of reframing that conversation with those advertisers to make sure that we really, we cover and help them redefine the new audience. So I think, that is, very, very important, especially a lot of you are in the tourism business. And so a lot of it is about getting creative. I think that we should have a webinar that's all about travel and tourism, to be honest, because I feel like there's a lot of implications there, but not everybody's closing down. So refocusing the conversation on staying local. I've got a group in Sonoma that is a company called Pink Jeep. They're running ads talking about how they disinfect these Jeeps. You're already breathing your family's air, so why not put them in a Jeep and go out through the woods or whatever together? Focusing on national parks, their budgets right now have not been cut. Focusing on local tourism, I think that's important. Great question, and this will be our last one. Sorry, guys. I'll get to the rest of them via email. Great question. Should we cut our prices? And in my opinion, the answer is no. I wouldn't cut your price. I would reward loyalty to customers that have been around for a long time by offering them credits or offering discounts on new creative ideas. But the moment you cut your price is the moment that you set a new price. Friends, if you look at historical data and if you look at what's happening around the country, it is highly likely, I hope that I'm right, I might be wrong, that we should see the coronavirus plateau and then begin on a decline within 3 months. I know lots of data says differently, but everything I have heard from the doctors I trust, it shows us that we should begin to see this come out of this way sooner than any recession that we've seen in the near foreseeable future. All right, lots of great questions, and we'll get to a lot of those on Friday as well. Thank you again to Mirabel Technologies, to the magazine manager, to the newspaper manager for supporting this part 1 of the program. Head over to 360adsales.com if you want to sign up for part 2. Again, it's $29, and we're raising money for charity, and I think that's going to be a great thing. So join us on Friday, 90 minutes, starting at noon. Thanks so much for being here, friends. Remember, if ad sales was easy, everybody be doing it, and they're not, so we're either crazy, which is possible, or we found a career that will feed our families for a lifetime. All right, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless y'all. We'll see you out on the street. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you.